right, RV Shop and Chef here, and we are here in Angel Fire, New Mexico, where we had a little problem climbing in from, I guess we were coming down from Ouray, and the engine was not quite pulling like it should. In fact, we saw on some of the dash screens the percentage torque delivered by the diesel was down at 22. So we've got something going on. No error codes, no engine warnings, no check engine light. Spartan's response was, we think this is going to be a fuel delivery issue, and when was the last time you changed your two fuel filters? And in this case, the first fuel filter is a large Cummins, about like that, and in the bottom of it, it has two things. It'll have a sending wire for a warning, probably, and then second of all, there will be a drain valve. This is where you're draining water out of your diesel. There's another fleet guard filter that has to be replaced, and it's your straight fuel filter. Right. Here we can see the large filter right here. Now that is a huge, for fuel, that is to me, that is a big filter. This isn't like some inline filter on a gas car. This is a whopping diesel separation filter. This filter I have. This filter, because it is a water separator, I think it has to be installed dry, and then you will cycle the engine. Spartan tells me cycle the engine 4 times with the key in the on position to get the fuel pump to run, and it will bleed out its own air. And you do this 4 times at 60 seconds, and you will have bled all of the air out of the system. That one is the one we still don't have. We may end up buying it in Amarillo. This one we do have, and I have a filter wrench to fit it, and so we're going to go ahead and pull down that filter and replace it today. There's the filter. That's FF63041 Nancy Nancy. All right, there's your filter wrench, right? You do have a seal here, and in some cases they tell you to, for this filter, right, that's the Fleet Guard filter, that as you fill it up before you put the filter on, you need to leave this cap in, and then you fill around the edges until it's right up to the neck, not quite over the mouth on that filter. Now it's going to start leaking fuel pretty quick, right? All right, the first thing we need to do is we've got to put some fuel in that filter, right? So right now we're ready to probably get the old filter off, and then from there we'll be able to put fuel in the new filter, and then we need to oil the lip of the edge of the new filter so that when we turn it on that it seals. And the way we'll do that is that we'll just take some of our Rotella oil that we have today and smear that edge with it here, and then just around that one donut O-ring right there. All right, let's give that a shot. So what I'll do here is maybe pour out just a cap full of oil. What I want to do is simply lubricate those two seals. Yep, most people do this with gloves. And I'm going to return that protective cap, because we're going to then fill this with diesel fuel. Then we'll remove this cap without overfilling it so that the diesel fuel doesn't spill into the core, and then we'll thread it up. These are pretty fine threads, so this may take a while. Full of diesel fuel. It looks pretty scummy. So the next thing we got to do, right, is fill this around the edge of the cap. All right, we're now pouring in around the edges of the filler cap. I think that's about as far as we want to go. It's right at the edge. All right. So now we've got the top edge of the filter lubricated in and out. Everything else is ready to go. All right, the goal here is to make it a little more grippable. The next chore is to remove the cap. So the little core cap we've taken out, we've filled around it. And now the last challenge is to get it to thread. Let's see how. Because as you look, that's the fuel filter and there is the fuel water separator. That guy's probably more suspect than the other for our power loss. But there's the fuel filter right there. It even shows you the direction of flow going in the top. And I'm already threaded on. And so I'm going to move you up a little bit and see if you can get a better view on it. But here, if you look, you can see that we are already threading on. And as that mates up, it takes up more space. And therefore it's forcing some fuel out. I'm about 20 short turns, they're like quarter turns in, and now I'm losing some, forcing out some fuel, about the right level. I think we've got it where we want it. Trying to keep this as clean as possible. I do have a tub underneath to catch the fuel besides what I poured out of the old fuel filter. So now I'm down to where it met the threads. And there are various rules about these filters. Once it meets the seal, how far you go after that. And what I've heard on at least one of these is a full turn after the seal meets. And I'm going to do this one by touch. Here's my little filter wrench. I'm going to want that to go this direction. And let's see what we can do to put some torque on it. These are about 1-inch turns. 3, 4, 5. So I feel like I'm where I need to be. And so I want to power the engine up, the fuel pump, and then allow the pump to run 60 seconds to fill that fuel filter, and then I'm going to shut it down and cycle it again. Now I think that's the routine for the dry fill. This one over here I think you mount dry. This one I believe you mount wet. So I think that's the sequence for the big fuel water separator. So, but I'm going to follow it anyway because I don't know any better. And so in this case my goal is to make sure this is full and pressurized and all the air is out of it. And I'm trying to do that before I start the engine. Now my understanding is key in the on position, fuel pump running, 60 seconds. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 5, 1006, 7, 1008, 1009, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Now it sounds like that fuel, it sounded like the fuel pump cycled off. So that was 30 seconds. I'm going to go to 30. So let's shut her down. Now, theoretically, for the big fuel water separator, we would want to go 4 more times. I'm going to do that anyway. And so there she goes. Let's just see if we feel it running down the sides of the filter. I'm not feeling. So probably I'll come clean that up and just make sure that we've got that all the diesel off of it. And then we'll go ahead and start her up and see if she runs smooth. All right, so let's do the cleanup first. There's your fuel filter down there. I'm just going to try to take a clean, dry cloth. And I've got some Windex that's probably would have been better with 409, but not seeing it handy. And 2 things I'm going to do. 1, verify that it's all sealed up. And 2, I'm going to put a label on it that says when the fuel filter was changed using my little labeler. Leaks. And so now the question is, we're going to start the engine and see if we start forcing fuel out on the ground, and we'll know. And I think all right, she's running. Question one is, are we losing fuel? Now we're going to look. I don't feel any fuel loss on that filter, but that's good. We did have a yellow check engine light when we got about halfway through the process. So I'm going to run it up to high idle. You do that with this cruise control here. And now our idle should come on up to about 1,000. Alright. She's running smooth. I don't hear the hammering. Of course, we haven't removed the big fuel water separator. So I think we'll call this project a finish. Now our power loss problem may not be solved. When we talked to Spartan, they said both of those filters are suspect. So filter 1 is gone and fixed, but filter 2 we don't know about. We can't get it. It's a bigger and more complicated filter, and so the next thing I'm going to try to do is shut this down and then see if we can get the drain to drain some of the fuel from the bottom of filter 2, which is the fuel water separator, just in case that is one of the issues. Alright, here's our label maker, and what we will do here is make ourselves a label showing the date that the fuel filter was changed. So yeah, you can see it says new 6/10/2025. There she is, ready to go. And I'll just put it right here on the top of the diesel fuel filter showing the date. Alright, there she is. We'll just go ahead and unpeel the paper sticker on, and on she goes right here on the back. So if you take a close look now, the diesel fuel filter, the standard filter, is now installed with the updated sticker new 6/10/2025. So this project is now complete. So just wanted you guys to know I'm going to take a look at the fuel water separator right after this. But for now I'm going to go ahead and say shush, because the first fuel filter is installed, operational, and ready to rock. So for that, we'll see you at the next project.